Okay, so one of the first things, let me see here. Got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about here. Okay, one of the first upgrades you'll find is when you're looking at properties now, you're doing your search. Let's just say I'm doing an on-market search, and I pick up a deal. When you click on a property and you're saying, okay, this is interesting. I've seen this deal. There's a lot of stuff here. You might look at this property and say, go to Zillow or Redfin or maybe your local person, or you might look at this and say, you know what, actually, the MLS is wrong, or BrightInvestor, I want to change it. It's not actually a two-bedroom, one bath, it's 1,000 square feet. This one is listed as actively listed, right? Zillow is calling this a two-bed, two-bath, but it's really one and a half. It's a one full bath, one and a half. So they're calling it a two-two, and BrightInvestor is calling it a two-one. I can't believe it. This is a perfect example. So you might say, hey, Donato, I really want to run the numbers on this like it's a true two-two, not a two-one. So what do I do? Well, now you can click this pencil button. When you click this pencil button, you can overwrite the information that's in BrightInvestor. So instead of it being a two-bedroom, two-bath, two-bedroom, one bath, you can change that to say, hey, actually, it's a two-bedroom, two-bath, and click Save Settings. What that does now is give you this icon and tells you, hey, by the way, you changed this back on this date, and it changes the numbers here. Why is that important? Now, when you go to your sales comps, it's going to pull comps based on it being a two-bedroom, two-bath instead of a two-bedroom, one bath. So if you're someone who's like, you know what, I'm going to add a bedroom or I'm going to add 500 square feet to this property, and you want to see what the property's worth would be change based off doing that, you can now completely change whatever you want from bedroom count, bathroom count, square footage, and year built to match your preferences or information you're getting somewhere else. That's new. Next, on the deal analyzers, we've added cap rates into the analysis. And when you are in the sales comp section, it seems silly, but you can now filter your sales comps by clicking on the headers from top to
That is so
bottom for each
awesome.
one you want.
No, no, I was saying that is awesome right there.
Oh, great. So we also added when you're doing the deal analyzers, or whenever you guys have a report, enough of you guys are asking about this specific thing. Now, when you're in the report, you can generate a PDF instead and print it out. So people were asking, you guys can copy the link and send it to whoever you want. But now people were wanting to print these out and give them to people in presentations or raising money. So now you just got to click generate PDF and we count this down: one 1,000, two 1,000, three 1,000, four 1,000. So in about 4 seconds, it took this whole report and now it has it a PDF that I can download and print out. So that is now live. You can now turn these into PDFs, which is exciting. Let's see here. That's all stuff plus a bunch of back end edits that we did. Um, this with this last push. We also added a 1,500 square foot option for building square feet when you're looking at deals. And what's coming out now is whenever you guys open a property like this, it's going to tell you the last time you opened that property. So it's something little like if you guys are looking through a bunch of deals and you're like, I can't remember if I actually looked at that deal or not, we're just going to tell you, like, hey, by the way, you looked at this deal on November 20th. And so for the rest of time, whenever you're looking at properties, we're just going to remind you that you saw this deal before with this little banner. So that's like it's a little thing, but it's just like a little convenient for you guys. What is coming to the property, Pride Investor, is when you have sales comps and you're in your sales comps for a section, and let's say you're like, hey, I really want to learn more about this property, you'll be able to click this address and it will pull up that property's info for you. So you can jump to that comp. You also finally, be able to update your credit card information by yourself inside the profile section. So enough people are asking, guys, how come I can't do this myself? Which is a good point. So you can now update that yourself inside your profile. We're also adding in linked properties. So I mentioned this a couple times, but moving forward, there'll be a button down here that says linked properties. And when you click on that, it will give you the list of every other property that this owner owns. So you can look at their entire portfolio. We are then also adding in, I think Sarah, you asked about this last time. I'll reiterate. When you come to this page, instead of having it look like this, it's going to look like the sales comps page where we're going to list out every rent comp and display a map of the rent comps. And you'll be able to turn off the ones you want and don't want, just like you can with sales comps. So that's coming out here. Then we have actually, someone mentioned this last week. Someone asked if there's an easier way to just find what parts of the city have the most multifamily. Moving forward, when you click on asset type, you'll now be able, when you click asset type, I have speed mode turned on. I gotta turn that on for a second. When you click asset type, instead of searching by year, you can now search by asset type. Instead of say click multifamily, and then it'll tell you what part of the city has the most multifamily. So it's just easier to get there faster. Bright reports here are this report is now going to include down the section where we have market research. It's now going to include population growth and income growth on here. So it's going to summarize that for you. The co-living calculator and BRRRR calculator are going live. So when you're in the deal analyzer and you have all these options, we're going to have two more, co-living and BRRRR. For fix and flip, we are adding the ability to click a button and change the financing from conventional to hard money. So if you're buying your fix and flips with hard money, you'll be able to change what kind of financing you're using. And oh yeah, all this market research right here will now be visible when you're searching a deal. So like when you are looking at a deal in an area and like right there, then looking at this deal, there'll now be a tab here that says market research. You can click that and it'll have all the graphs here for you as well. So, Chester, long way to answer your question, but all that's what's coming very shortly, I think in the next 10 days. And then I'm working on the drawing boundary. So you can click a little pencil icon and draw a specific boundary. And that's what I've got for you right now. So if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, uh, that's what's coming, and you guys get some special sneak peeks to that.
Awesome. Um, two, and these are things that it's something that it kind of dawned on me would be great. So I'll give a little bit of background and kind of explain where this is coming from in terms
Okay.
of a median days on market and an average days on market. And where that's
Good.
coming from is when I'm seeing properties that are, newly listed. Obviously I'm not going to be like, hey, I want to offer like a 10, 15, 20, 25% discount or anything like that.
Mhm.
It's beneficial to know what the median or the average is of the days on market for whatever area, because at that point then I'll know, instead of saying some arbitrary number like 30 days or 45 days, if I know that properties have been sitting, or not sitting, if properties sell at a median of about 57 days, just some random number, right?
Yep.
Anything 58 and over, now I can start saying, all right, cool. I know that this is going to get less and less visibility the longer every 5, 10 days that this goes on. Now, of course, obviously, there'll be like obvious cases like, if it's been sitting 164 days or something crazy, right?
Right.
You know, so in cases like that, it's like, okay, well, that's obvious. But like, if it's been sitting for like, 50 days, 2 months, is the median 30 days? Is the median 74 days in that particular area or zip code or whatever the case may be that's relevant?
Mhm.
So that's where that background kind of comes from. And it's something that, like I said, it didn't really dawn on me that this was like that important, but like it's something that almost is like a little bit of a mini cheat code. So if that's something that, you know, whether median or average or ideally both, um, you know, definitely I think would be helpful.
To see you want to be able to see days on market in an area.
The median for that area.
Okay, so
Or
do you mean like the days on market right down here, or you can? I'm sorry, I have no idea if you're making a joke right now or not, or if you're being totally serious. For days on market, I have no idea because if you're being 100% serious, I have a great news for you. We have that. It's right here. We can tell you exactly what the days on market is.
okay, so I guess I just never looked there.
Okay, perfect. Then hey, we got it for you. You're good. Gotcha. So yeah, Jester, that is on the bottom right hand side under listing trends. Click days on market, and then either do city zip code or city by zip code. And we do that exact thing. We track it every single month. So for this zip code, right now, you nailed it, right? Right now, it's 56 days. And clearly, our slow periods are getting a little bit faster because it used to take 105 days, now it's taking 85 days, now it's taking lower. So
Hmm.
we use this and track it every single month, and we can see that in the winter time, this area peaks at around 113 days or like 3.5 months. In the summers, it's as fast as 47 days.
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking for?
So yes, for median, more in the event that it's like I said, I don't want to like unnecessarily have to add it, but it's more a question if it's possible to also include the average. Why the
It's
average,
possible. Yeah,
and
I can write
and
that down.
to provide the rationale on what's going on with the average. Yes, there will always be outliers, like I mentioned, like whatever the 164, or if there's, like a 2021 type of period where, properties are sitting for, half a second, something crazy like that, like where
Right.
it's, like less than 7 days or stuff like that. Um, the interesting thing that I started noticing when I started comparing median and average, anything that is like when they're close together, the quality, I guess, of the data. Not to say that there's anything wrong with like how you got it here, because this is exactly what I'm looking for. But like, there's an interesting dynamic, if you will, that shows up when the average is significantly lower or significantly higher than the median
Mhm.
for whatever reason. When now I'll use an easy example here. Let's say a median of like we use here for 56 days. When the median and the
Mhm.
average are, let's say, the exact same or within a few days of one another,
Yep.
it's much easier for whatever reason to be able to say, okay, I can make offers at, let's say it's 75 days. The property's been sitting
Sure.
75 days and the average and median are 56. I can reasonably, with confidence, say I can offer 10, 15% below what I know the median and average are, and I'll get some sort of activity, meaning either I'll get a counter or someone will be at least willing to have a conversation. Hey, we can, offer X, Y, and Z credit, things like that. What I'm noticing is when those two numbers start to diverge, and especially significantly so, so let's say I'll use that 75 number for example. Let's say the average is 75, where that median is 56. Let's say
Yep.
I'm only focusing on that median and say, hey, I see a property that's been sitting for 75 days. I'll still do the same thing, thinking, hey, 10, 15% off of the list price. What do you say? I won't hear anything back. Nothing. It's almost as if they're just like, hey, you know, not entertaining, X, Y, and Z, quote unquote lowball offers, if you will.
Sure.
And so I don't know whether that's something that's like, I would think, especially in a scenario like that where it's like, dude, the property's been sitting for what, 2.5 months, coming up on three
Yep.
months. You're not willing to at least negotiate or discuss. For whatever reason, it seems like that. I don't know if it's like a disconnect or if it's wish pricing or if you want to call it that, or hopium, whatever the case may be. But it's like I don't know. I just don't know. So it's just like it's getting difficult to manually be able to try to track, especially like in like up in Detroit. Like there's like I want to say like 10 or 15 different zip codes within, you know, let's call it 15 mile radius. That's kind of difficult to track, between 482.204 and 482.221 and 482.340. And those are like literally right next to one another. And yeah, that can get literally fatiguing to try to like, you know, outside of Excel. And even with Excel, I have to manually try to figure these numbers out. So that's why I say like it would, I think, be beneficial if it's something that
Sure.
you could do.
I think I can do that. That wouldn't be an issue. I'm pretty sure I can do that.
Okay.
So you got my thumbs up there.
Okay. Well,
Um,
definitely, yeah, definitely appreciate it. Just like I said, it was just something that was just like, am I off, or why is it that seeing, median and average when they're close together, people are more willing to have discussions versus when they're further apart and the number is closer to the average. um Now of course in the opposite direction, let's say if it's like an average of like something crazy like 20 days and the median is like the 56, yeah, of course if it's been sitting for like 60 or 70 days, yeah, of course people are going to have discussions then. But like
yep.
it's just the oddest thing. So that's why I said it's maybe just easier to like see, and then of course using the power of BrightInvestor to be able to kind of filter, and using like high equity or
Sure.
out of state things like that. It makes it just a lot easier, I would think.
No, that makes sense. So yeah, I'll talk to the team and we'll put it on the map to implement. Um, and then I'm gonna hop on to my next questions here. I have Corey who messaged me and asked me to look at a specific property, 32 North Denny Street. All right, Corey, you're gonna go ahead and pop this one up. 32 North Denny Street in Indianapolis. Got a deal you're looking at. Let's take a look see here. Okay. Okay, I got a property. It says it's on market. I'm gonna pop up in my Zillow listing as well. Also, they did a price cut yesterday. So this is a great example of a property here, right? They just did a price cut for 155 and and they're calling it 2,200 square feet. Okay, 2,268. Okay, not a problem. And you can see BrightInvestor from the local public assessor's office has a 1512. This is exactly why we built this. Because now I come right in here and just say, hey, no problem. 2268. Save. And we'll run it like that. The reason there's a discrepancy between those two things is because what the county assessor and the tax assessor puts in and what his real estate agent qualifies as livable square feet can be sometimes different. So that's why we have to always double check. And that's why I built that functionality right there. So if you want to, if the agent is calling unfinished basement part of the square footage and the county assessor isn't, there's going to be a delta. So if we want to run it, we can run it two different ways. So now when I run sales comps, my sales comps will run as if it's a 2,200 square foot property. And this is still going to pull the updated info for the our 24-hour turnaround for list price updates has to be done as well. So
Hey,
we're taking a look at this
Renato,
one.
sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt, but that could be used as an asset as well because
Oh, absolutely.
you can tell them, hey, county assessor's office says so and so, right? It's much more than what you're putting there. You
Yeah,
know, price goes down right away.
absolutely. So on a per square foot basis, that'll change pretty significantly.
Yeah,
So it's like good to know, like, hey, what are you like? Why is it like? What are you guys considering here as the square footage? Is there like a basement? Like what's going on here? So Corey, for you on this one, I'm pretty interested here, right? So this guy, Joseph, 30, his address is 32 North Denny Street. So he lives there, right? And he bought it back in 2020 with an FHA loan for 3.5% down. So it gives us really good information, right? And he bought it, his loan was for 112,000. So FHA program, 3.5% down. That means I do my quick little math here, right? Uh 112 917. I say times 1.035. He bought it for about $117,000. And so he doesn't have that much equity in this thing. He's owned it for a few years. Now, my comps, right? Now, isn't that interesting, right? We're going to pull our comps here and say, show me exact match for bedrooms and exact match for bathrooms, okay? And show me just stuff that was built in the same like 10-year period. Okay. So I've got a couple comps around here, all in this kind of different range. I'm going to just do the ones that are similar for square footage. So I'm going to cut this one and I'm going to cut this one. And I'm going to cut, so that seems pretty good. I'm going to keep those comps. And I might cut this one. Yeah. So I'm going to keep the two that are similar. So I have a similar, exact same beds, exact same bath, similar size, similar build year, about 89 bucks a foot. So this thing looks to be worth about $204,000. Okay. So see that they're pricing it well, and they just dropped the price to 155, which is interesting. And a 3-2, it rents for about 1,500 bucks. So if our landlord insurance on this is about 100 bucks a month, pull up our analyzer. If we instead of 175, we pay the 155 they're now advertising, this thing just starts to cash flow at those numbers, which is interesting. At 20% now. That's a decent little property. Now, of course, that's assuming we are paying for repairs, vacancy, and capex. So if I slot those to zero, our gross cash flow is actually more around 400 bucks a month. So it's not bad as far as something you can buy on market for list price that actually makes some money. A little thin, but definitely doable as a long-term rental. Now, thankfully, I have my photos right here. I can take a look at it, see what they're telling
maybe
me.
maybe they're
Yeah,
having trouble renting it out. Maybe
yeah,
population's dropping.
yeah. We should probably check this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's do a little bit of research in this spot, right? So this is why, like, well, because like I saw from the listing too, right? They said it's fully renovated. So I'm like, well, what's going on here? Well, it's happening nearby. This is what's so valuable, right? Because like when you see something that doesn't make sense, like why is this thing not selling? And this area is appreciating like crazy. Have you guys seen any area in the entire country that's been going up on average 22% per year? I haven't. 22% per year. Median house value is right now around 215. So definitely going up. Had a bit of a pullback recently, but it's not too shabby. And rents for a 3-bedroom property in this area, how are they doing? They're doing great. Property's up 47%. Or rents are up 47% in just a few years for 3 bedrooms. That's phenomenal. I absolutely want to rent this property out. Now, my population growth of this area, maybe it's going down. I don't know. Yeah, okay, not going down, but definitely slow. Only 1.5% is pretty slow growth. So definitely slow going. Then how about my income? Is this area attracting higher income folks, or is it pretty stagnant? Actually, it's okay. So it is a lower income part of town, about $40,000 median household income, but income is growing really quickly. So I love the long-term projections of this area. It's just overall a lower income spot currently. That might be our problem right there. When your median household income is around $40,000, and interest rates are 7%, maybe 7.5%, depending on who your lender is and what kind of loan you're getting. The ability to qualify for a $175,000 mortgage is decreased, right? Is our capacity because people have to make a lot. So we may have an issue right now with what people can afford based on the local income that could be driving this. I'm gonna do a quick check on the bedroom count to see how popular this kind of house is. And most of the housing is 3 bedroom. So Corey, I'm getting a feeling here that you should make an offer
I'm
quick
right there.
because this property. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, exactly what you're looking at is the same thing that I looked at too. That's why I was a little concerned. I thought it'd be good to have you guys take a look at it, kind of get some feedback
Yeah,
from everybody else.
absolutely. It's definitely single family dominated. A lot of single family housing here, and it's all a lot of 3 bedrooms, which is interesting. So the schools are okay, threes and fours. They're okay. Not necessarily the move across town to be in the school district kind of situation, right? Except for these charter schools, which are phenomenal. Some really great charter schools nearby. That's really interesting. So then let me do let me do my quick test on my local crime.
That's
Oh,
where it
also we
gets kind of
changed this.
sketchy.
Okay. You guys, we also changed this. A lot of people were having issues with the heat map where like they didn't know you could get pins unless you zoomed in, the actual like address by address pins. A lot of people didn't know that you could get that. So we did some work and now it's just always pins. So it's just always pins. So you can just always show you what's going on. Okay, so definitely some stuff. Oh, what happened? Oh, your neighbor had a larceny attempt this month. Okay. What do we have over here? Disorderly conduct. Okay. A little bit higher crime. Not terrible, but I'm gonna throw a few hundred more crimes. I'm gonna go a little bit further back in time to see what else is going on around here. And I'm gonna
Donato,
go a little bit
random
oh,
question
yeah,
about the pins. Is
yeah,
there can't think of a better word than like classification of like um let's get I'll give you an example of what I'm thinking about. Like for non-violent offenses or stuff like that, or like I don't
yep,
know if you want to call it garden variety,
yeah,
misdemeanors, things like that, like almost kind of like a sliding scale from like
yeah.
let's say green as like somebody got caught stealing some candy from the store or something like that, all the way up to like bright red being like I don't know, felony attempted, you know, I don't want to
Murder
say
or
the
something like
actual.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to keep that on the recording, but yeah, like somewhere where it's like a sliding scale of like severity,
I like
and
that.
then almost kind of like a quote unquote bright line between misdemeanors and felonies, so to speak.
Hmm.
Is if there's some way to be able to do that so that it's easier because like this, yes, it's definitely very useful, but like looking at like the red handguns, I would think that would be more severe than seeing all of like
Yes,
the bright greener ones or stuff like that.
sure. And Corey, I got your message about having to go. No problem. This recording will be sent out to you guys. So what I can do is I can definitely include like a legend for the crime pins. Basically, when you see something that's blue, it's a bit more like it's a crime. It's not, I guess you could say a urgently serious crime as far as what it is itself. Like for example, we have a B&E. That's a little that could be serious. B&E. We also have like a family offenses like a disturbance, a nonviolent disturbance, or a larceny attempt. So that's a bit more kind of run of the mill, basically. Once you get to yellows, yellows are like, hey, disorderly conduct. We're talking destruction of property. We're talking vandalism. Something's going on there. When you get to orange, that's assaults, simple assaults. It could be intimidation. Basically, someone got physical. Everything you see orange, like someone, there was a physical confrontation. And where you see reds, someone brandished or, fired a firearm. And then you have your blacks, which are occasional, like kind of miscellaneous. So this was like false, for whatever reason, the local Columbus calls this a false pretenses or a swindle or a con man. So someone was out here running, pulling games or pulling tricks. I don't know what the kids call it these days. But someone was out there just swindling people. So what I can do is I can maybe put like a legend over here that helps make that more easily distinguishable. That showcases some of it. For Corey's property specifically, it definitely seems to be a good amount of disorderly conducts and some weapon law violations going on in the street. It's not horrible, but there's definitely a little more activity going on in this spot that might be causing some issues. But the next thing I'm going to look at here, right, is if we have look at our days on market, right? Let's get an idea here of what kind of to Trisha's point here, right? Even this is telling me it's been on the market for about 33 days. Okay, awesome. This property should take about 49 days. So here's what I have, right, to look at. If I'm looking at this deal, and I know this property is currently underneath the median days on market, and we know that appreciation is really strong. Population is growing, but not super fast. The rent growth is great. The income is lower income folks, but it's growing quickly. This is a 3-bedroom, which is very popular near here. We have some okay public schools, but great charter schools, and it's below the days on market. This guy's motivated. This is not a property problem. This is the owner's problem. This is someone who has something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about that is trying to get this thing sold. They're in a rush. That's what I think is going on here, which means that we are all the more incentivized to call this person and make them a lower ball offer because we just check the market and there's nothing wrong necessarily with what's going on in this market. This is just a on market motivated seller. We can see the numbers, we can see the local market information. So that to me definitely begets giving this guy a lower offer, saying, hey, this guy clearly is motivated. Let's go ahead and make him an offer for 135, 140. Because this thing should be selling. Unless there's a property specific problem that we don't know about. So, we come here to our fun little Zillow link, what have you, right? And they're saying to me, wow, it's a horrible choice for paint, but you know what? That's okay. Yeah, wow. Blues and greens. Oh, and pink. Woo! Hot pink. Gotta love your hot pink interiors. Yeah, they're saying this is fully renovated property. That is not fully renovated property. No, this guy, that's nice. That's fine. But the paint, those are issues right there. So this guy is motivated to sell. So I'd be plus that outside is not looking too hot. This honestly makes me interested to flip. Based off what I'm seeing here. If we took this and we bought this bad boy, and my sales comps are telling me we could go to, I'm gonna go back and just do uh my comps again on what I want to have happen, and then turn off smaller ones that I don't want to analyze off of. Maybe you do 204. What happens if I offer this guy like 130 and I pour like 30 grand into it and I can sell it for 204? Profited for about 26 grand. That to me is interesting because this thing definitely still needs a little bit of tightening up, and it might make more sense than a rental. But this could be like a really quick flip. Like, wow, this guy's done some work, but he didn't paint, he didn't update the flooring, didn't update the siding. We're just gonna go ahead, turn around, make it a quick flip. That's what I'd see here. Next question. Sarah, are there plans to add a bird calculator as an option? Yes. Yes, there are. And is there a way to keep track of the skip traces we've done? I sometimes can't tell if I've done one already because the phone number goes away and we want a similar search. Yes, that is also coming out where when you skip trace a property, the phone number should be staying here. So these will stick around as well.
Is there a way that is there a way for maybe like, you know how when you search off market or on market deals, like the little tag comes up with the price? Is there a way to color code that maybe for the ones that have been skip traced? That way I don't have to like go in and like see if I got the phone number for one of them or like guess if I call. Like it would just be easier because then I could like when I'm running a similar search just off the bat see like, okay, ones that are colored, I know I got skip trace numbers and I know that I called them, you know?
Oh, that could be cool. So
Mm-hmm.
let me ask this. So like let me pose this to the group here. So one of the benefits of being here, hanging out with me. So if we have something like this, right? Like, okay, I found this property, I skip traced it, I'm good to go. And then, right, we have the that scene filter where now like, hey, it'll show up as seen when you leave. Would it be useful if like, it normally says it'll say like, last seen on X date. If you skip trace it, then like another banner shows up right here that's like last seen on, and then another one that says skip traced on, something
Yes,
like that. Okay.
definitely yes for me.
Okay. Anyone else in the chat, would that be useful? And maybe also kind of like if you downloaded a list and you've pulled that list and you're skip tracing it, um, it
Right.
kind of goes back into the app and tells you, hey, we saw that you skip traced this on this day.
I don't know if you do this already, but it probably would be helpful if we wrote notes on it to have an icon that shows that you have notes on that property.
Okay. So we're talking a tag system. So at
Yeah,
any
they
time,
that would be a
yeah.
much wider net though,
The
right?
the notes thing would definitely be helpful too. I think right now I can only add notes when I'm printing reports because like the note will just go away if I X out of it.
That got changed. That got updated
Oh,
now. So
okay.
when you add a note, it stays on that property.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
helpful. That's definitely helpful.
Yes. Should have, yeah, we noticed those were getting deleted, so we updated that. So notes will stick around now. But basically we're looking at here's what I need to do. Right here on the sidebar, I'll put three emblems. An eye icon if you've opened it, a pencil icon if you have taken a note on that property, and basically a phone icon if you skip traced it. And if you hover over that icon, it'll say you did this on this day. So all of these will have one of three tags.
Nice.
Love that idea.
That works. Yeah.
I would
Okay.
I would reconsider the pencil icon just
Okay.
because that usually means edit, unless that's
Oh,
what you
good
want it to
point. Good
mean.
point. Okay.
Maybe
So
a
we'll
note
do
Maybe
an
card or
I.
maybe
something.
like a notepad
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
instead of
gonna
a
say
pencil.
notepad or notebook. Yep.
Yeah.
notepad works great. Okay. So I will do a. That's cool. You guys are actually helping build BrightInvestor right now. Isn't that freaking awesome? Okay. So that's what I can do here.
But I
And we'll just
think
do like
I
a
think
one, two, three.
yeah, I think with the notepad and then us now being able to like have our notes saved down, because like what I've been doing is I've been, you know, calling just like in the moment, like when I get the skip trace numbers, and then anyone that I get like an answer on, I'll add that to my list. But like it just seems cumbersome to me to add all of them on when like, 90% of them I'm not going to hear back on. So like with the
Okay.
notes, I can then like put left voicemail and then the date, or I can put
Yep.
spoke to, spoke live so and so, and
Perfect.
then I can see like so that really helps with what I
Perfect. Great. I can do that. Now, one thing we are toying with, this is very, very, very early. I make no guarantees with this, no promises. Um, well, some promises, but we're working on something where we need an intermediate. So what I want to do is like right here, like, oh, there's my last scene on. So let's say we have this property, right? And let's say like someone like Sarah, and you're looking at a deal, and you're right here, and you're saying, hey, I found this deal, I ran the numbers, I want to save my progress, but I don't want to make a report yet, so I'm not sure if I'm going to actually like need that report. We're playing with a very basic CRM where instead of the report, it just says save to CRM. And then as you're doing this, there'll be a button up here that says CRM, and it will have basically a tile for every property that you sent here. And it's just basically a workspace where you can upload documents, you can save documents, and it's basically a little workspace for that deal. And then once you have analyzed that deal, you've made that phone call, you're taking your notes, and you said, okay, yes, I'm finally ready to create a report, then you can create a report right there.
That would be helpful, I think, for me because I've been running multiple reports with different scenarios, and that's
Okay.
essentially like me kind of trying to create that workspace, but like having to
Mhm.
just duplicate a lot. Also, like when I get quotes and I'm drilling down on a specific deal, like I need to
Yeah.
put in those quote numbers like every
Yeah.
time I go into the property, and so that would be helpful in that sense as well, where I can save my, insurance quote or whatever that I'm looking at, or if the taxes are 23 and 24 was released, then I update those. So,
Okay.
yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay. Everyone else in the chat, any feedback there?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I
Okay.
like it.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I just want something where you could say, hey, the deal is saved here. It's an intermediary space. I don't want to download it yet. I don't want to make a report yet, but I do want to be able to have it somewhere where you can make those phone calls, you can run your analyses, you can get your loan quote, or you can buy your insurance quote through BrightInvestor. You can do your thing and have the whole package there, and then
Is
send that
there
out.
a way to is there a way to like combine that functionality with the list? Because I feel like in theory, I'd like to be able to like click on the property and like enter the workspace. You know what I mean? But I
Mhm.
don't know if that's
Yep.
what you're picturing or if it's something else.
Yes, that's what we imagine. So basically, you'll have this still, which will have all your property lists, and it'll have all your reports. Then there'll be another section called like My CRM, and it'll just be the workspaces. So it'll have like a big like icon, like a big like tile, like right here. You click on it, and then it opens up the property window, and it has all of your stuff that you can play with right there. That's what I'm thinking for it. Just that something. So now you can be doing your work here and you can save things here. So it's not in a file, it's not in a Google folder, it's just like all there. Uh, okay. All right. Those look like the majority of the questions that we have. This has been exceptionally valuable. Let's see here. The other, I guess, other thing I'll announce, we're looking at doing this. We're expanding the ability when you add lists. It's right now it caps you at 24 properties per list. We're going to boost that to 500. So now you can add way more properties to your lists if you are trying to create a list. Boosting to 500.
There
Okay,
is there a way to print like the jobs report?
way to print the jobs report.
Yeah, like
Um,
market research. Because I know you said you were adding population and I think appreciation or some other metric, but
yeah, population and income.
yeah,
Mhm.
population and income to those reports. But if I wanted like a job
Yeah,
report on the industries, because I'm
like if
thinking
you wanted
of,
this.
yeah, because that's what I would send to like a lender or someone, private lender that because obviously that's a big part of the deal.
Yeah.
So, and since it's on here, is there a way to print it? Is there a way to add it to a file to the report file or anything like that?
Yeah, so right now we have this. So you can click this and it'll download an image of the change over time. What I could do is look at adding this as well onto the property report. Is just adding a section that has this side by side. So then the report would have appreciation, days on market, new listings, price per square foot, population growth, income growth, and job growth.
Would the job growth portion just show the chart, or would it show the industries? Because the industries is
Is that
like,
what you want?
yeah,
Here's the cool part. We can do whatever we want. I'm a CEO. That's my company. I can do what I want. So the value, you'd like to have this chart on the property report.
yeah.
Okay, I'll write that down. I'll see what I can do. I'll write
Sorry
that
if
down.
that's nitpicky. It's just it's a
The
preference.
whole point. I mean, like we've been doing this for 3 years, right? As far as BrightInvestor, everything's supposed to be nitpicky, right? The reason that people love using Google or love using iPhones is because anyone can build a product to 90% solution. It's the last 10%, the tiny little turnings of the screwdrivers that you guys bring here saying, I'm getting all the way through this. And that last little bit is what I really need to make this just like an amazing over the top experience. That's what I'm here for. To add value in ways for both is this a good deal? Is this a good market? What am I seeing? But also to make this a better experience for you so it actually serves you in the way you want.
You
So
know what
Sarah, if
would
you're saying,
be,
go ahead.
what would be really cool is if like a lot of the main market data points that we have on here, because now I'm thinking like crime, schools, etc. It would be really cool if like for everything that we could zero in on in the area, if there was
Yep.
like a toggle that we could use similar to like a filter where we could say we want this on the report, we want this on the report, and like so basically see like appreciation, rent growth, jobs, population, maybe like the crime mappers, the school mappers, and just be like, I want this, this, and this on the report, but I don't want this, this, and this on the report. That would be really cool.
Yeah, instead of having to go into each one of those one by
Yeah.
one and then adding them manually.
Probably a good idea. That's probably a good idea.
I'm chock full of good ideas, Donato. You just gotta hit them.
So what I could do is put on a bunch of these, whatever I could put a bunch of these on here. I could add rent and jobs. I could do bed count, asset type, and rent to own. This was of all, whenever I have to do a map, it gets really funky on the online, on the report. So some of this stuff I wouldn't be able to do, but I could definitely do rents, job, bed count, rent to own ratio, and jobs. And then what we could do is on the report, you guys already have the power inside these reports, once they load, because I have a ton of them. We got 50 of these bad boys. You guys already have the power to click this settings icon and turn on or turn off whatever you don't want to be there. So what I do is I'll just take all the market research, everything that I can possibly do, and just put it on here manually. So by default, every time it's on here. And then if you don't want it on the report you send out, you just come on here and you turn it off.
Can you save it?
Yeah. So you're like, hey, you know what? I don't want my notes or my street view image or the seller motivation. Save settings.
But
So
then
then now that
the next
report.
property going forward will have those
Oh, you
settings.
mean set that default?
Yeah, because
Ooh.
those will be the only ones I'm interested in usually, right?
Okay. We're gonna be able to set these set defaults. So what I can tell you is what we're working on is answer that as yes, it's doable. What we're doing right now is in the search deal section, when you guys have a property that you're looking at and you have your deal analyzers, we are working on the ability to set defaults in here. So it's not like you're like every time I only want the repairs to be 5%. You're going to be able to set default values in these calculators so that every time it's already in there. So what I could do is the same thing for the reports and say, hey, by default, I want these things hidden off the report. I could do
Yeah.
something like that. Default.
I don't know if I asked this already at a prior meeting or not, but are you working or have you considered the ability to add more filters such as 5% year-over-year population growth or something along those lines? So I'm looking for a market that's multifamily, population growth, income growth. There's a 60-40 approximate split of renters to owners, something along those lines, just something to narrow down what my market would be.
Yeah, we've talked about doing something like that in the past. Um, it's something we tried to do with the compare markets. It's not quite how I want it yet. I think it can be a lot better. But essentially, what I'm trying to figure out is if someone's like, hey, I want an area where and I have all the rules of thumb, right? If you say I want to market with 10% population growth and 10% rent growth and 10% income growth and 10%
Mm-hmm.
job growth, a lot of multifamily, and we set all those A, B, C, D, E filters and
Mm-hmm.
nothing shows up because
Mm-hmm.
it's a really niche kind of like
Mm-hmm.
criteria. I'm trying to figure out how I can do it in a way where it doesn't end up becoming someone is consistently like lowering their bar,
Mm-hmm.
lower the bar, lower the bar, lower the bar, lower the bar to find a market that works. So I don't have a solution to that yet, but
Mm-hmm.
it is something that's on my mind to try to figure out.
You can try something like what they do with like orbits when you're looking for a flight, and they just show you deals that are near the dates that you want, right? So they give you deals that are approximate to what you asked for.
Basically setting a range, yeah, approximation
Yeah.
from market funding. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
a good idea.
we didn't find this, we didn't find 5% population growth,
But
but we
we
found
found
six,
but we
you know.
found this.
Yeah.
No, that's a good idea. I like that. I'll talk to the team. But I think that's something we can work towards is something to that nature for how we want it to be done.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest
But
things is finding your market, right? Like finding your buy box and um,
mhm.
you know, I think the compare market's probably helpful, but honestly, I still haven't gotten mine to work on
Yep.
my end.
That's why we're cutting this next week and we're throwing it back into the tool shed for for some iteration. Because
Mm.
that one still needs some work and it needs some development time to
Yeah.
keep being fleshed out.
Also, one thing I've noticed about the compare markets is that it has a lot of good data on a lot of the bigger cities, but then some of the
Yep.
smaller ones, they're really blank.
Yep.
And I know like those are more niche, but like I think it
And
could
here's
be
the
really,
thing, we
helpful to
have
have
data
that.
for those. And that's a fun little part about being a developer. If you look up those small cities and they compare markets and they look blank, and then you go to the search bar and you look those cities up with like population, you have data for them.
Hmm.
The issue is that the US Census reports data in a couple different ways. And we work with them. Sometimes they report it at the city level, other times they report it at the zip code level. And so, because of the literally hundreds of thousands of markets that this thing looks through, it gets coded with the looking at the city level for population when the US Census doesn't report population by city level for any city under 50,000 people. So,
So
this,
maybe it's worth separating the
yeah,
cities with less than 50,000 people versus the bigger cities. And
mhm,
like changing the formula for how it's pulling based on, so like there could be like an optionality for us to look at
yep,
bigger cities or smaller cities, and then
mhm.
the criteria for what's being pulled can be changed so that the smaller cities can be like pulled from the right sources maybe.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what we're going to be doing. So I've already talked to the team about being able to restructure that a little bit to hack the US Census because they don't want to play nice. So absolutely that's something we can do. That's what we're planning on doing anyways.
Yeah, because one of the
Uh-huh.
things, because Santiago and Jason and I are in a few other investment groups with uh, like a larger group of investors, and one of the things that we have um, anecdotally or informally gotten advice about is look at the quote unquote satellite or
Sure.
secondary or tertiary towns that are right outside of like your major metro areas. So, like one
Sure.
example there with Indianapolis, instead of being right inside the city limits, I think it was like right to the north or northeast was this little town called Muncie, Indiana. So examples like that, um, excuse me, where folks may be, I don't know, up to 30 minutes, maybe an hour for, you know, a little bit for hardcore folks who are willing to travel into a big city and then head back out into, you know, if you want to call it your bedroom community, so to speak.
Yep, that's a good idea. This has been very useful, guys. I know it's fun. I got to get to come on here and say, here's all the new stuff that we have, and now I have a list of new stuff to build and keep iterating on. So this is very valuable. I've got a lot of things here that I'm going to take back to the team and discuss being able to implement. And each of you should be getting an email here with summaries of everything new that we have going on and all the different upgrades. I do want to take a second and call. I know we're at time, but I want to call some people out because I haven't heard too much from them, and I want to make sure the questions are being answered. But Jason or Tyrese, if you guys want to unmute, I haven't seen a lot of questions in the chat, so I just want to make sure I'm giving you the opportunity to fire away.
I don't have anything. I've been a very busy day, but thank you very much for all the information I learned by watching.
Perfect. Absolutely. And that's what I'm here to do. So anything I can do to help, like that's what I'm here for.
Appreciate it.
You got it. And Tyrese.
Hey, how's it going? Yes,
Good.
this
How
has
are
been
you?
I'm good, I'm good. Yeah, this has been very helpful. I'm still getting myself acclimated, to searching for properties on the website and everything. It's been useful just doing a lot of trial and error. A lot of the updates and recommendations that people offered, definitely I can see the benefits of those. So, but yeah, no questions at this time, but it's been very helpful.
Perfect. Glad to hear it. And like you say, like I said, a lot of those we made a lot of upgrades about 2 days ago with your systems. We have a lot of those things I mentioned at the beginning will be coming out probably next 7 to 10 days. And then I have now this list of things that I can take back to the team and work on as well. And we're really trying to do a really big push from now through the next month as we continue to push these things out for you guys, getting those updates. Really happy to see what Santiago does with the ability to edit the square footage and bedroom and bath counts. I know you're working on that potential third bedroom or fourth bedroom addition, Santiago. So I had you in mind when we were building that out to see what the comps would look like. But I'm excited to see what you guys do with this newest version. And of course, I will be back on Saturday morning with our Saturday office hours. And I want to say thank you all for being here. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, updates, or hey, Donato, I thought about X, you have my contact information. I believe everyone here does already, but I'll put my email again in the chat for you all. It's Donato at BrightInvestor.com. And there we go. Put that in the whole big chat right there. All right. And I'll be back Saturday with more updates on what's been pushed since then. Side note, if you guys are feeling in the mood to be very generous, you can email my co-founder, Drew. He's kind of the unsung hero behind everything that kind of happens at BrightInvestor, and today's his birthday. And his second daughter is due in about 2 weeks. So he's a daughter that's about 15 months old, and his second daughter is due in about 15 days. So he's getting pretty excited there. I know that'd make his day if some users wrote in saying happy birthday, congratulations. But that's just something if you'd like to do it. I know he'd appreciate it.
Simple enough.
Perfect. All right, guys. His email's right there in the chat. Drew at BrightInvestor.com. So mine is Donato at BrightInvestor.com. His is Drew at BrightInvestor.com. He's the person that designs the front, what you see on BrightInvestor. So he's the reason that it looks so pretty, and it's big buttons that you can just click to get answers. He does a lot of that front end. But I know he loved that. He does a lot of our customer service as well. And whenever he gets a message that says this is awesome or helpful, you can watch the smile on his face. And he's my better half in this business, so he deserves it. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. I've got your notes. Everything you guys talked about. You'll get an email here soon when the new version is out. As a heads up, we've done 5 versions in 5 weeks now. So we are pumping out a lot of upgrades based off your guys' feedback. So you should see more and more of these. And for those who have more questions, comments, concerns, want the camaraderie, I'll see you again on Saturday morning.
All right,
All right.
definitely. Thanks again, Donato. I'm about
Thanks,
to
man.
send an email to Drew.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. Take
Thanks,
care.
guys. I really appreciate it. And you guys have a great rest of your evening.
You too.
All righty. Thanks, Donato. Thanks, everybody.
You got it. All right. Bye.